have sex in the barracks.
Oh, okay. Yes, tell our captain. Was like, that's gonna be hard, boss.
What about if I falsely get accused of a war crime? No, we don't cover that here.
Yeah,
That's next week.
it's nobody knows
Nobody
what they're signing. When you sign your name on the dotted line, join the military, you have no clue like about the rights that you really don't have in the military system. So I get thrown in there. I get thrown into solitary for the first 4 days, and they treated me like I was like Jason Bourne, dude. Like they really thought they had me shackled like from my legs and my arms. Yeah, walking through. No other prisoners got treated like that. They had announced to the prison I was coming a week prior, and that I was a like super threat. So as they're like marching me through like all the prisoners up against the glass, like looking, and
Trying to think, is it like, oh my God, that's Eddie fucking Gallagher? It has a similar role to it.
It literally was like that though. And so I get let out of solitary, I get put in general population, and that's when I was like, all right, figuring it out.
What kind of people are you in there? They're military, but like, what kind of charges are the other guys?
So that military is at Miramar Air Station. That is a sex offender prison. So mainly a large percentage of them are in there for pedophilia, sexual offenses, online shit. So I'm in there, with some real winners, and
oh boy.
But there's also like some other dudes that are in there, whatever, popping on a test or whatever chart, showing up late, like literally showing up late to formation. There's Marines in there for that.
That's a little harsh. But
yeah, well, this is what I came to find out when I was in there. So
I feel like push-ups would suffice, but that's just me.
Yeah. So I'm in Gen Pop, and what they do when you get in there is they hold a little mini kangaroo court, right? So this is to deem whether you should stay in prison if you're trial prisoner or to let you out. And this is what I learned real fast. I was like, oh shit, like these people are fucked, like so fucked up. So they bring me to this room, and I have my lawyer down, Phil Stackhouse shows up, and we're in there waiting. They pull any officer from the base to be the judge. So just some random officer comes in, and he's going to be the deciding factor. And this is where I first meet the prosecution. The prosecutors show up. The NCIS agent, Joe Rapinski, shows up. He's the lead NCIS agent. And they sat there and berated my character and like straight up told lies about me. They were like, he fucking beats his wife. He is a fake Christian. He's a drug mule.
A drug mule?
Yes. So when they raided my house, they found that I went to Mexico for my best friend's wedding for 4 days. And out of that, they're like, we think he went there and is smuggling drugs back. So this is what they do. They just pile on bullshit.
So you're a cartel priority too.
Yes. And then they used every qualification that I had ever achieved against me. They're like, we cannot let him out because he is a sniper, he's a preacher, he's this, he's that. He is deployed too many times to combat. He is pretty much like he's a broken toy, and we cannot let him out.
Didn't they also like charge you for having stuff that you had prescription for?
Yes. They said that I was abusing tramadol, and like we found tramadol in his stuff. I had a prescription right there. It was, but still they charge. Like, it doesn't matter. It's like as soon as they say it, that gets put on paper, and then what they do is they leak that to the media.
Yep.
And so, boom, it's a fact.
Yeah.
We said it. It's a fact.
And your prescription from a doctor.
Yes.
Not a dentist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to the dentist.
But the VA isn't broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can go get. You need 1,000 Klonopin, I can have it for you by Monday.
Yeah. So they just say this, and then every fucking press outlet's gonna run with it.
That's all they need.
So they're just adding up to a pile now, and you're finding all this out while you're in the break.
I'm going through it. I'm just like, okay, like what the fuck? And so obviously they don't let me out. So I go back to general population, and that's when I pretty much spent 9.5 months in prison before my trial. But during this time, my wife, who was like, what the fuck is going on? Because she got a call from my lawyer. That's one thing I told her. I got a 5-minute phone call when I got put in solitary. And so I called my lawyer. You need to call my wife right now. Tell her I'm in prison. Like, that's all I know what's going on. And so my wife she called the command, and she's like, what is being done? Like, what is going on? They wouldn't talk. They completely, nope. God. So she wrote a letter to the command and was like, are we not a brotherhood? Are we not like, this is what my husband signed up for, and this is what like the culture we've come up in. Is anybody going to help us? No response. So that's when she took it upon herself. She's like, fuck this. And she created a organic social media campaign, started putting out what was going on. And she gained a massive following because people were paying attention. And then and I'll say this, my brother at the same time, who lived in DC, was going to Congress day after day, banging on doors, trying to get people to pay attention. Everyone's like, don't take on the military. Let's just let the system work itself out. Ugh. So eventually my wife got invited on to Fox and Friends, I think with my brother. And that's when Trump, who was president at the time, he took notice. And
I got another pixel piece.
I think he took
I'm getting
notice.
Lucky tonight because these are rare pieces. There was like this rumor,
like, okay, because he
I've
might
gotten 3 of them now.
Let you out, or like you might be getting out. And of course, that didn't happen for months, dude. It was the best way I can describe it. It was like the biggest emotional.
3 out of the 8.
There'd be like days where it's like, hey, I think you're getting out, and then nope, you got another 2 weeks, and it just kept going that way. I was going to court hearings the whole time.
Are any of the guards like? Are you having any interaction with the guards? Yeah. And some guys are like, "This is fucked up." What they're doing.
So, 2 of the guards, they were Marines, came to me and they were like, "Hey, this was like the first month I was in there. They're like, we're being briefed on Mondays, like like officers from your command and NCIS are telling us to make you snap, to fuck with you." And so that's what was happening. So I was getting strip searched all the time, like to hold down to spread your butt cheeks, do whatever. Cell tossed all the time. If I did anything, like, so this is how petty it was. So like, if I sat down to watch TV and took my blouse off, like my shirt, like, cause we wore uniforms in there, which everybody else was doing. If they saw me do it, they're like, no longer is that allowed. And then if they saw me doing push-ups in my cell, I'm not allowed to work out in my cell. I'm not allowed to do anything that benefits me in any way. They literally, then they would deny me visitations.
So next one.
They denied me medical visits. They denied me talking to my lawyer. So here's the system when you're in there, dude.
They deny you talking to your lawyer.
So in order to talk to your lawyer, you have to put in a request sheet.
I got 7 doors this time. There is a person,
like a counselor, that's assigned to each pod, general population. So I had this black chick named Rashida, and she was a typical government worker. And so I put in a request sheet, and she'd be like, yeah, we'll get to it, And eventually you're like, dude, I have to talk to my lawyer.
Yeah, this isn't the DMV.
Here's the best part is if they're not letting you talk to your lawyer or you have a complaint, you put it in the complaint box. Well, guess where the complaint goes? Right to Rashida.
Duplicate.
So she would come in and announce to the whole like general pod, she'd like, have my complaint. Oh, prisoner Gallagher, stand up. And I'm like, she's like, so you're not happy you can't talk to your lawyers? Guess what? Now you ain't talking to them another month. And she would just walk out. And like, so this is like the petty shit that was going on. And so I'm telling my wife all this over the phone. I'm like, dude, this is the environment that I'm in.
Are you kidding me? I got another pixel piece.
I'm trying to keep my cool the whole time. Because at this point, since those guards told me that they were trying to make me snap, I knew it was a game.
Yep.
So I just literally bit my tongue and like would just sit there and like, dude, all right, this is going to get hashed out.
That does help that they did that.
It does.
It does.
Because I would have snapped, dude.
Yeah.
There was a couple times in there where I took an act of God. So like when my youngest son came to visit me for the first time, he comes in, he's wearing a hospital gown. Like, oh my God. And I'm like, why is he wearing this? And then I'm told you're not allowed to embrace him. You're not allowed to touch him. And so I'm like, why can't I embrace my son? And they're like, because of the pedophiles that you're in here with, it excites them and it's unfair to them. And which is why he had to wear a hospital gown too, because he was wearing a tank top when he came to visit me. And they're like, that bare skin will excite them as well. And we're trying to heal these pedophiles.
Oh my God.
Second duplicate.
Oh my.
Yes. So this is what's going on. And so when that happened, that was like, I mean, tears forming because I was so angry. And but I couldn't do anything. You're like, just hold it together.
You said they're strip searching you and stuff all the time.
Yeah. Then like one of the guards, he was a Marine, Gunny. He would strip search me, and then I'm sitting there naked in front of him, and he'd
Last
like
one of the
bend
pixel
over,
perfects.
stand back up, bend over.
This is
Do it
someone
again.
you outrank by like 40 rungs too.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at him like, dude, why are you doing this?
I got one of
And
each
he'd be like, "Oh,
door.
you got a problem?"
I got
You know,
6 doors in
looking
one,
for you to
7
do
doors in
something.
another, and 5 doors in another.
Real quick, Jim,
Yeah.
I just want to ask this. Like, you've done a lot of deployments. You're this decorated Navy SEAL. You've seen horrible shit. You're obviously an incredibly tough guy, but probably more
Third
importantly, a very
duplicate.
mentally tough guy too. You know, but this is where all your rights have been taken away, and you feel like the whole world's closing in on you
Yes.
for shit you didn't do. Which I always say my ultimate fear is being stuck in an 8x8 box for something I know I didn't do. I feel like I'd be able to live with it if I did it because I know I was in the wrong. But if I didn't fucking do it, like
It's a shitty feeling.
I can't imagine that, and I'm really sorry I went through that. But like, you know, you are still a human at the end of the day. Like those quiet moments alone, you know, are you didn't break in front of guards or anything, but are you breaking
Hopefully
to
it's not
yourself
Dumbo,
a little
it's
bit
Dumbo.
sometimes?
No, like I talked about earlier, I gave everything to God. That's when. So here's the defining moment. It was like 2.5 months in, 3 months in. I'm talking to my wife, and this is how institutionalized I am. I still had some belief that my command was going to do the right thing. I was like, there's no way
Fifth
they're just
duplicate.
fucking throwing me away. And so I would ask, like, what was the command saying anything? And she finally, she got so sick of me like saying that. She's like, let me tell you something. And she gave me like the best speech ever. She was like, for 15 years,
All right.
you have deployed over and over and left us. You've left me to take care of the kids. You always said what you're doing is a righteous
Now
thing,
we're
and we
moving
believed
on
you,
to
and we
the
supported
neon
you. And
ones.
you know, she's like, now I need you to do the same for me. No one's coming to get you. Your command's not for you. They're against you. Everybody is against you except for me. I'm the fucking last one standing. So she's like, you need to get it through your fucking head that you, the team, the brotherhood, all that, it doesn't exist. Like, and so hearing that, I hung up, went back to my cell, and that's when, I was like, got on my hands and knees and I just talked out loud to God. I was like, dude, take this from me. Like, I don't know what to do. And then I was like, you know, if I'm found guilty or innocent, like whatever is your plan, like you're fully in control. I'm on board. And I felt the weight of the world just like come off my shoulders, man. And like, not to say everything else was like easy street, but I just had this confidence, like I'm good. Like even you can do whatever you want to try to do to me.
Yeah, it's not to say that you were, when you were doing your job, you were arrogant or anything, but you were very sure of yourself. Like you were in
confident.
control. You're confident, and like not that there's anything wrong with that, but maybe that can also lead to being like, that's not going to be an issue or whatever with little things along the way. And this maybe brings it home. That it's like, you know what, this is it's the worst way to get knocked down to square zero. But like, maybe I can come out a better version from this.
Oh, for sure. And that's what happened. You know, and it's like my wife says, she's like, honestly, it's the biggest blessing that could have happened is you being thrown in prison. She's like, you're a stubborn son of a bitch. And she's like,
I mean, you're not anymore?
Well, I try not to be at times. But yeah, she's like, it took you being thrown in the prison cell to like, you know, get close to God. So
the trial.
And
I going back to the like one thing on your lawyers. So even if they, I guess pre-trial, when was the first time you were able to have some type of meaningful planning or contact?
So this is like, this is a separate thing, which actually this doesn't get talked about a lot in my story because it's just, there's so much shit that goes on. So the first lawyers I hired, right, the United American Patriots.
Okay. This is
Stackhouse and Colby Wilkie.
Are these the guys that turned on you? Yeah.
Dude, so this is how nasty it gets. I show up to the first day of court with them, and I'm not a lawyer. I don't know shit about anything that lawyers do. I've never been in a courtroom, but watching them, like they're just like shuffling papers. Like, all right, well, let's just go in there and see what happens. And I'm like, dude, I'm facing life without parole. So I'm like, like this doesn't seem like you're got your shit together. But whatever. I was like, maybe I'm just being too, whatever, arrogant. I think I know better. But so I was like, okay. But then the more and more I went to court with them, I was like, dude, something isn't right here. So I would tell my wife, I'm like, dude, I don't trust these guys. Like, I don't think they have my best interest. Like, they just don't seem like they're putting forth the effort for someone that's facing life without parole.
Is she in the courtroom too?
No, she's back in Florida. So then she was communicating with them on the phone. So she would call them and be like, hey, Eddie's not confident in you guys. And they would manipulate her, like, oh, he's just in a stressful situation. Like, don't listen, he's locked up. Well, it wasn't until they pulled me out for a meeting one time. And this is, I think I was about 7 months in. And they were like, hey, and this is what they would do. They would schedule a lawyer meeting with me, which I would go to the local JAG building on base, in handcuffs and sit in an office, which was like a little reprieve, you're like out of your cell. But they would never they'd show up like with 10 minutes left before I had to go back. They showed up and they're like, hey, before you go back, we need to tell you something. I'm like, what? They're like, we're going to extend your trial out by a year. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, we think it's better that way. We need to get prepared. And I'm like, so you want me to, I've already been in 7 months at this point. I was like, you want me to sit in prison for another year until my trial? They're like, yeah. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm like, nope. And I was requesting a speedy trial the whole time. I was like, I want a speedy trial now. And they were like, well, if you rush it, then you're going to get, what if you get found guilty? Like, we need time to work. And I'm like, dude, you've had 7 months. And this is what really set me off. Colby Boki goes, oh yeah. And you need to tell your wife to knock it off with the social media.
Oh, no.
And she doesn't run the show, we do. And that's when I was like,
you're fired.
Fuck you. Well, I went back, and then that was like, I was like, fuck these guys. And then my wife got a voice mail from the head of UAP extorting her because another organization called Navy SEALs Fund was raising money for my legal defense. And there was a couple of awesome, it was fucking dude, Drago Desir and his wife Rachel. Drago and Rachel, they started this fund and it's to help out team guys if they're in trouble. So they raised about $250,000, and the UAP's like, we want that money. And so my wife was like, that money is, and I told him the same thing. I'm like, that money is set aside. If I get found guilty, that goes to my family, so they can take care of themselves. So what they told my wife was like, if you don't give us that money, we're just going to leave your husband in prison and not represent him the way he should be.
Oh,
so boom. That was when we were like, fuck you. Bernie Carrick, you know who he is?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Former
so this is all divine intervention. Like, Bernie read the article about me and was like, this doesn't seem right. He somehow got a hold of my wife, didn't know us from Adam, and was like, hey, what is your legal team doing? And so when she told him everything, he was like, fuck that. He got Tim Parlatore, who's his lawyer. He became our legal representation. We fired. I was like, hey, I told Colby, I was like, you're fired. I actually kept Phil Stackhouse on for another month until he quit. So I fired Colby. Phil I kept on because I was scared